Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. This is Neeraj Kumar. I'm the founder of iDecision Games and Negotiate Up. I'd like to introduce you to Professor Larry Susskind, who's going to talk about the cybersecurity clinic and the role play exercises. As many of you know, we have many role play exercises on iDecision Games, and this is one of the latest ones we've added. He'll also be talking about negotiating with terrorists and whether you should or shouldn't. So without further ado, passing you on to Professor Larry Susskind.
Thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. It's my pleasure to be talking to you today about the work that we're doing at MIT on cybersecurity for critical urban infrastructure. Here are the things that I want to cover today. First, I want to tell you a little bit about some of the conclusions that we've reached about what's going on with cyber attacks on critical urban infrastructure. Then I'm going to say a few words about what we call the cybersecurity clinic at MIT. We're training students, and students are then working with cities and towns to help them assess their cybersecurity vulnerabilities. Then I'm going to concentrate on, as you heard, a role play exercise. And I'll tell you more about what that involved, but it basically is a teaching tool for helping citizens, public officials, people who are in the field, understand the kinds of conflicts that emerge when all different players in a given situation where there's been a cyber attack are trying to decide what to do next. And that's going to raise a question, because in the exercise, the city that is the hypothetical site for the role play decided to pay the ransom that it had to pay to get control of the city data back, the city systems. And there are a lot of questions about whether or not to just pay the ransom, to never pay the ransom, or to try indeed to negotiate with the terrorists. And that's who often is causing all of this disruption, whether to negotiate with terrorists about whether and how much to pay a ransom. So let me start with this set of conclusions that we have come to, given what we've learned. City infrastructure across the United States, indeed in many other countries as well, is being attacked every day by computer hackers from far away. While most of our attention, those who care about cybersecurity, is drawn to attacks on private companies and the way confidential consumer data is lost when those attacks happen. If attacks happen on critical urban infrastructure and they're successful, we could all lose, including all those private companies, access to energy, water, transportation, emergency services, healthcare, police protection, and more. Indeed, city and school services have been interrupted in more than 100 places over the past 2 years. And I'm afraid attacks on critical urban infrastructure are increasing. There are various lines and methods of attack, but we're especially concerned by a range of attacks that introduce what's called ransomware and encrypts city data and only releases it if a ransom is paid in Bitcoin on the dark web, so it's impossible to trace. Both large cities and small towns have been attacked successfully. So our efforts at MIT are focused on helping cities and towns assess their vulnerabilities to cyber attack and analyzing the patterns and impacts of these attacks so cities can defend themselves most effectively. We've developed this role play simulation. It's a face-to-face serious game that officials and citizens can play in about 1 hour, no computers necessary, that will bring everyone up to speed on the nature of these ransomware attacks, as well as the simplest and most effective steps public agencies can take to defend themselves. And I'll speak more about this game in a few minutes.